There comes a moment in life when you realize that explaining yourself has cost you more than silence ever did. You defended your choices. You justified your emotions. You tried to make others understand your intentions. And yet, the more you explained, the weaker you felt. Stoicism teaches a different path. A calmer one. A path where your actions speak so clearly that words become unnecessary. When you stop explaining yourself, everything shifts. Your energy returns, your confidence deepens, and your presence becomes undeniable. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment your power begins to return. Most people do not realize how much energy they lose trying to be understood. They speak to defend their choices, their emotions, their silence, their boundaries. They explain because they fear being misunderstood. But Stoicism teaches that misunderstanding is not a threat. It is a test. When you explain yourself too much, you hand control of your peace to other people's opinions. The Stoic understands that clarity within matters more than approval without. From childhood, many are trained to justify themselves. Why did you do this? Why did you not do that? Explain your intentions. Explain your tone. Explain your absence. Over time, this creates a habit of self-defense. But defense implies danger. And most of the time, there is no real danger at all. Marcus Aurelius warned, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." When you stop explaining, you begin valuing your inner judgment over external noise. Silence does not mean weakness. Silence means restraint. It means you trust your path enough not to argue for it. When you explain yourself endlessly, you invite debate. You open doors to doubt. You allow others to sit in judgment over decisions they will never live with. The Stoic rule here is simple but difficult. Do not argue with those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Not everyone deserves an explanation, and not every reaction requires a response. There is a hidden strength in letting people think what they want. When you stop correcting every assumption, you remove yourself from emotional labor that was never yours to begin with. People who truly matter will observe your consistency. They will notice your actions over time. Those who rely only on words were never aligned with you anyway. Stoicism reminds us that character is revealed through behavior, not explanations. The quieter you become, the clearer your intentions appear. Stopping explanations also forces you to confront your own insecurity. Ask yourself honestly, why do I need them to understand me? Often, the answer is fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being judged. Fear of being alone in your decisions. The Stoic rule of self-mastery begins here. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how deeply their perception affects you. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Much of the urge to explain is imagined danger, not real harm. When you stop explaining yourself, your words gain weight. Silence creates contrast. When you speak less, people listen more. This is not manipulation. It is natural human psychology. Constant explanation sounds like uncertainty. Calm restraint sounds like confidence. Powerful people rarely explain themselves. They state, they decide, they move forward. Stoicism does not teach arrogance. It teaches grounded certainty. You do not need to announce your strength. You demonstrate it by remaining composed when questioned. Another Stoic rule emerges here. Protect your energy. Every explanation costs attention, emotion, and time. When you explain to people who have already decided their opinion, you are pouring water into a cracked vessel. The Stoic learns to redirect that energy inward, into discipline, into clarity, into action. Over time, this creates a shift. You stop reacting. You start leading your own life instead of negotiating it. As this chapter closes, remember this truth. You do not owe the world constant explanations. You owe yourself alignment. When your actions reflect your values, silence becomes enough. Misunderstanding loses its power. Judgment becomes background noise, and a new calm settles in. This is the first shift. The quiet beginning of unshakable presence. When you stop explaining yourself, something uncomfortable happens first. Silence creates space. And in that space, people reveal who they really are. Some grow curious. Some grow distant. Others grow threatened. This reaction is not your responsibility. It is information. Stoicism teaches that clarity often arrives through observation, not confrontation. When you no longer rush to fill the silence, you begin to see who respects you and who only respected your availability. Many people are attached not to you, but to the version of you that explained, apologized, and softened your edges. When that version disappears, they feel a loss of control. They may accuse you of changing. They may say you have become cold or arrogant. But change is not betrayal. Growth does not require permission. Epictetus reminds us, if anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, he was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone. The Stoic does not chase correction. He lets truth unfold over time. Silence exposes manipulation. Explainers are easy to control. They reveal their doubts. They negotiate their boundaries. They seek approval. When you stop explaining, manipulators lose leverage. They cannot twist your words if there are fewer words to twist. They cannot guilt you with misunderstanding if you refuse to argue. This is another Stoic rule. Do not give emotional weapons to those who misuse them. Calm restraint disarms more effectively than confrontation ever could. There's also a deeper internal shift happening. When you stop explaining, you stop rehearsing your life for others. You no longer live in anticipation of questions, criticism, or judgment. Your decisions become quieter but firmer. You act because it is right, not because it will be understood. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never explain yourself to anyone. Your friends don't need it, and your enemies won't believe it." Whether friend or enemy, explanation is rarely the bridge we think it is. This chapter is where discipline replaces defense. Instead of explaining why you are focused, you stay focused. Instead of explaining why you are unavailable, you honor your time. Instead of explaining your values, you live them. Stoicism teaches that self-respect is built privately, not announced publicly. When your behavior is consistent, words become unnecessary. Consistency is louder than explanation. At first, this discipline feels lonely. Silence removes validation. You no longer receive reassurance that you are understood. But Stoicism prepares you for this discomfort. The Stoic rule here is endurance of inner tension. You learn to sit with uncertainty without reacting. You let others misunderstand you without correcting them. Over time, this strengthens your emotional spine. You realize that peace does not come from agreement. It comes from alignment. Another truth emerges. People who matter adapt. They adjust to your silence because they value you, not your explanations. They ask better questions. They listen more carefully. Those who only thrived on your emotional labor fade away. This is not loss. This is filtration. Stoicism does not cling. It allows what no longer fits to fall away naturally. Seneca warned, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Silence helps you identify who those people are. Powerful presence is quiet. Think of leaders, masters, and sages throughout history. They did not justify every move. They acted decisively and spoke sparingly. When you stop explaining, your presence gains gravity. People begin to read your tone, your timing, your boundaries. You stop being transparent out of anxiety and start being deliberate out of self-respect. This is not secrecy. It is sovereignty. By the end of this chapter, one thing should be clear. Silence is not absence. It is intention. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim control over your energy, your time, and your identity. You no longer perform your life for an audience. You live it, calmly, on your own terms. This is the second shift, and once it happens, there is no going back. When you stop explaining yourself, judgment becomes louder. People fill silence with assumptions. They imagine motives, intentions, and meanings that were never spoken. This is where most people break. They rush back into words to correct the story being told about them. But Stoicism teaches a harder discipline. Let judgment pass through without lodging inside you. Marcus Aurelius warned that the opinion of others is smoke. It looks solid from a distance, but it disappears when you stop chasing it. You are not required to manage narratives that do not belong to you. Judgment only has power when it enters your identity. When you believe you must be seen a certain way, you hand control outward. The Stoic rule here is simple but demanding. Your worth is internal, not negotiated. You can be misjudged and still be right. You can be misunderstood and still be at peace. The mind that seeks approval becomes reactive. The mind that accepts misunderstanding becomes free. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional mastery. As you grow quieter, people test you. They provoke reactions to confirm old patterns. They may question your intentions indirectly. They may criticize your silence as arrogance. This is a common phase. Stoicism prepares you for it. Epictetus taught that if someone insults you, they only touch your body or reputation, not your character. Character lives beyond words. When you do not defend yourself, you deny others the reward of control. Calm becomes your shield. There's also an internal battle unfolding. Silence forces you to confront your own doubts. Without external reassurance, you hear your inner voice more clearly. This can be uncomfortable. Old insecurities surface. You wonder if you are being too distant, too rigid, too cold. Stoicism does not ask you to suppress these thoughts. It asks you to observe them without obedience. Thoughts are visitors, not commanders. The Stoic rule is discernment. You choose which thoughts deserve action. Detachment is often misunderstood. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You still act with virtue. You still treat others with respect. But you no longer depend on outcomes you cannot control. Judgment, praise, criticism, misunderstanding, these are externals. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This realization changes how deeply words can wound you. As judgment loses its grip, your reactions slow. You pause instead of responding. You reflect instead of reacting. This pause is power. In that space, you regain choice. Stoicism calls this inner citadel, the place no one can invade without permission. Most people never build it. They live exposed, emotionally unguarded, always reacting. You are learning to fortify yourself quietly. Something else begins to happen. People start treating you differently. Some become more careful with their words. Others become uncertain how to provoke you. Calm unsettles those who rely on chaos. Your restraint creates a mirror. It reflects their instability back to them. This is not your intention, but it is the effect. Stoicism teaches that influence is often indirect. You do not persuade with force. You persuade with presence. Judgment also teaches you clarity about relationships. Those who thrive on drama will grow bored. Those who value depth will lean closer. Silence becomes a filter. You stop investing energy in defending yourself and start investing it in becoming better. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Judgment feeds imagination. Detachment starves it. By the end of this chapter, you understand a quiet truth. Judgment cannot harm you unless you participate. Silence is not weakness. It is restraint. Detachment is not coldness. It is control. When you stop explaining and stop absorbing judgment, your mind becomes still. And in that stillness, discipline deepens. This is the third shift. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are standing apart from it, calm, grounded, and unshaken. When you stop explaining yourself, boundaries begin to form without words. This is where discipline turns inward. Most people think discipline is about forcing action, but Stoicism teaches something deeper. Discipline is about refusal. Refusing to react, refusing to justify, refusing to surrender mental space to what does not serve your values. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the soul becomes dyed by the color of its thoughts. If you allow constant intrusion, your inner world becomes chaotic. Silence is the first gate. Discipline is the wall that follows. Without clear boundaries, attention leaks everywhere. Every comment pulls you off course. Every misunderstanding becomes a distraction. Stoicism teaches that focus is a moral duty. You are responsible for how you direct your mind. This is the fourth Stoic rule. Guard your attention as you would guard your life. When you stop explaining, you naturally conserve energy. That energy can now be used to think clearly, act deliberately, and move forward without noise. Discipline also reshapes emotion. Not by suppressing it, but by governing it. The Stoic does not deny anger, fear, or frustration. He simply does not let them decide his behavior. Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things." Explanation is often driven by emotional discomfort. We speak because silence feels tense. Discipline teaches you to stay inside that tension without escaping into words. Over time, the tension dissolves. As your emotional discipline strengthens, others sense a change. You no longer mirror their chaos. You no longer rush to reassure them. You no longer overextend to maintain harmony. This unsettles people who rely on emotional reactions for control. They may escalate. They may push harder. This is not failure. It is confirmation that your boundaries are working. Stoicism teaches patience here. Let others exhaust themselves. You remain steady. There is a powerful clarity that emerges when discipline replaces explanation. Decisions become cleaner. You say yes with intention and no without apology. You stop negotiating with your own values. Seneca warned that if you live for the approval of others, you will die dissatisfied. Discipline frees you from that cycle. You begin to act from principle instead of impulse. This is when confidence becomes quiet and unshakable. Focus deepens next. Without the need to explain, your mind stops fragmenting. You are no longer mentally rehearsing conversations that may never happen. You are no longer replaying moments of self-defense. Stoicism teaches presence. Right action in the present moment is enough. When your attention stays where your body is, stress loses its grip. You stop living 10 steps ahead in imagined outcomes. This level of focus changes how you work, speak, and move. Your words become fewer, but heavier. Your actions become slower, but more precise. People begin to listen when you speak, because you no longer speak to fill space. You speak to express truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Discipline turns philosophy into behavior. The fourth shift is complete when discipline becomes natural instead of forced. You no longer feel the urge to prove, explain, or perform. You are comfortable letting silence do the work. Emotional storms pass without dragging you into them. Focus becomes your default state. This is not detachment from life. It is full engagement without entanglement. You are learning to live from the inside out, anchored in control, calm, and clarity. When you stop explaining yourself, a quiet authority begins to form around you. This authority does not come from dominance or intimidation. It comes from self-command. People sense when someone is not seeking approval. They feel it in posture, pacing, and presence. Stoicism teaches that real power is self-governed. You no longer chase respect. You become grounded enough that respect adjusts itself around you. Most people believe power comes from visibility, from being heard, from being understood. Stoics knew the opposite. Power grows in restraint. When you stop explaining, you allow others to reveal themselves. You observe more. You listen without attachment. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should stand straight, not straightened. Authority grows when you stop bending to expectations that are not aligned with your principles. This is where silence changes social dynamics. When you speak less, others speak more. They fill the space you leave open. In doing so, they expose their motives, insecurities, and intentions. You gain leverage without manipulation. This is the fifth Stoic rule. Never interrupt the natural unfolding of truth. Explanation interferes. Silence allows reality to speak for itself. As authority stabilizes within you, your reactions slow. You no longer rush to respond. You pause, you choose. This pause is power. It gives you time to separate what is within your control from what is not. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when you understand this distinction. When you stop explaining, you stop trying to control how others perceive you. You focus only on how you act. This shift confuses those who rely on emotional hooks. They may interpret your calm as distance, your restraint as arrogance, your silence as rejection. Stoicism warns you not to correct these interpretations. Correction is another form of explanation. Let misunderstanding exist. You are not required to manage other people's inner narratives. Authority grows when you let others sit with uncertainty. Power also reshapes how you deal with conflict. Instead of defending yourself, you hold your ground quietly. Instead of arguing, you restate your boundary or withdraw. This is not avoidance. It is strategic stillness. Seneca wrote that the wise person is neither raised up by praise nor cast down by blame. When you stop explaining, praise and blame lose their ability to move you. Over time, people begin to adjust. Some drift away, unable to extract validation. Others become more respectful, sensing your self-respect. A few may test you repeatedly, hoping to provoke reaction. Stoicism teaches consistency here. Do not harden. Do not soften. Remain the same. Authority solidifies when your behavior is predictable and your emotions are not. There is also an internal shift that matters more than social outcomes. You begin to trust yourself. When you stop explaining, you stop second-guessing. You no longer ask, "Was I clear enough?" You ask, "Was I aligned with my values?" This internal compass replaces external approval. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that no one can harm you without your consent. Silence withdraws that consent. As trust grows, so does decisiveness. You choose faster. You hesitate less. You do not overanalyze responses. This clarity sharpens your presence. People feel it immediately. You no longer negotiate your worth through words. You embody it through action. This is how quiet confidence forms. It is not loud. It does not announce itself. It simply stands. The fifth shift completes when authority feels effortless. You are no longer trying to influence. You simply are. You speak when necessary. You withdraw when appropriate. You do not fear being misunderstood because you understand yourself. Stoicism teaches that a life guided by reason does not require constant explanation. It requires integrity. When silence becomes your ally, power follows naturally. When you finally stop explaining yourself, the deepest change happens inside you, quietly and without announcement. Silence stops being a tactic and becomes a way of being that shapes how you move through the world. You are no longer reacting to every look, comment, misunderstanding, or raised eyebrow. You move from emotional reflex to conscious choice, from habit to intention. Stoicism teaches that peace begins when you stop negotiating with the world and start governing yourself with reason. This is the moment when inner freedom replaces the need for external agreement. You no longer feel pulled to correct, defend, or justify every detail of your life. You feel steady even when questioned. You feel anchored even when misunderstood. This steadiness is not coldness or distance. It is clarity shaped by discipline. It is the quiet strength of someone who knows where they stand and no longer needs permission to stand there with dignity and self-command. As this inner freedom grows, your relationship with life changes in subtle but powerful ways that others may sense before you do. You stop treating every moment like a test you must pass or a performance you must perfect. You stop viewing people as judges waiting to score your choices, words, or mistakes. You see them instead as fellow travelers, each guided by their own fears, beliefs, memories, and hidden desires. Stoic wisdom reminds us that most opinions are projections, not truths carved in stone. When you stop explaining, you stop absorbing these projections as if they define you. You let praise pass without attachment and criticism pass without injury. This is not indifference or emotional numbness. It is discernment trained through reason and patience. You choose what deserves your energy, you release what does not. In this space, your mind becomes lighter, clearer, and more focused on what truly matters. The final shift is mastery of reaction, which sits at the very core of Stoic practice and self-discipline. Events still happen without warning or fairness. Words are still spoken without care or wisdom. Challenges still arise whether you feel ready or not. But you no longer meet them with emotional urgency, anxiety, or defensive explanation. You meet them with reason and measured calm. Epictetus taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Silence interrupts those judgments before they grow roots and control behavior. It creates a gap where wisdom can enter and guide action. In that gap, you decide who you want to be instead of being dragged by impulse. Calm replaces reflex. Patience replaces defensiveness. You stop explaining because you understand that your character speaks louder than your words ever could. This mastery reshapes your sense of self-worth at its foundation and changes how you evaluate yourself. You no longer measure your value by being understood, approved of, or constantly validated by others. You measure it by being aligned with your principles and actions. You act according to reason and virtue even when no one agrees, even when no one notices, and even when it costs you comfort or approval. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to do what is right without looking around for applause. When you stop explaining, you embody this teaching fully. You become internally referenced rather than externally driven. Your confidence no longer rises and falls with opinion, rumor, or reaction. It remains stable because it is built on self-respect, not fragile validation. With this stability comes emotional independence, one of the greatest forms of freedom a person can achieve. You stop handing your peace to situations you cannot control or people you cannot change. You stop replaying conversations in your mind, wondering how you could have sounded smarter, calmer, or clearer. You stop wishing you had said more or defended yourself harder. Silence closes the loop and restores balance. It teaches acceptance, which Stoicism defines as clear sight, not defeat. Acceptance is not surrender. It is accurate perception of reality as it is. You see what is within your control and what is not. You respond appropriately, then move forward without dragging emotional residue behind you. In the end, when you stop explaining yourself, everything truly shifts at once and forever. You speak less, but your words carry weight, intention, and timing. You move slower, but with purpose and direction. You lose the exhausting need to convince and gain the quiet power to influence without effort. This is the Stoic way of strength, calm, grounded, unshaken. If this journey resonated with you, support the Stoic Tide by liking this video, sharing it with someone who needs clarity, and subscribing for more timeless wisdom. Walk calmly, stand firm. Let your silence speak.